Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everybody is having a great day so far. Glad to see you guys here for the first time in about 2-3 days since I've been live. Let's see what we have in the chat. We have Indiana, Caleb, Legacy, Pez, as well as Pete. If we go down a little bit more, Catman, Edits. We also have Haley, Random Guy, and Andrea, as well as everybody else who's in the live stream, who I may have forgotten to welcome. Everybody else who is also watching, may not be chatting. Glad to have you here, Tyler, Andrea. And yeah, let's go ahead and switch on over to the main screen. I'm just going to double check that everything is good, because last time I didn't check that. I remember the last time I did check that, there ended up being something I needed to fix. So yeah, we are all good to go. I do want to zoom this out. Well, I want to zoom this one in a bit and this one out a bit. So yeah, this is Christy, I believe, out here in the Eastern Pacific. Currently a Category 5 hurricane out there in the middle of the Eastern Pacific. We'll go over to your current storms. You can see that there. So yeah, currently a Category 5, as you can see right here. It has winds of 160 miles per hour. We'll switch on over to Radar Omega, and let me pull up that advisory. That way we don't have to pull up the NHC just for one singular storm. So currently a Category 5 hurricane. It is peaking at Category 5 intensity, and it's going to slowly begin to weaken tonight, and then it should rapidly weaken as we go into tomorrow night into the, well, shoot, I don't even know what day it is today. It's Thursday, so it should rapidly weaken tomorrow night into Saturday morning, and quickly, very quickly become a tropical storm. So rapid weakening is anticipated, and it will occur thanks to wind shear very late tomorrow night into Saturday morning. Current wind speeds, like I said, sustained of 160 miles per hour. Maximum wind gusts up to 195 miles per hour, and a central millibar of 926. So pretty low millibar there. That's about normal for a Category 5, 926 millibar. I mean, that's not, that's not anything special for a low in Category 5 hurricane there. And yeah, you can see it almost became a Category 5 last night. I mean, it was 155 for one update, I believe, yesterday. And it attempted to become a Category 5, but then it did an eyewall replacement cycle. It went down slightly in intensity, and now it's right back up to Category 5. So yeah. In terms of severe weather across the United States, we do actually have Some pretty large hail happening here in Mason City. You can see that hail core just to y'all south in Iowa. A report of 1.75-inch hail south of Clear Lake, Iowa from law enforcement. That's not where I believe we do have a risk all the way up that far north. No, we don't. The marginal risk stops in Waterloo. So we do have a risk for damaging winds out here in Kansas City, Topeka, Lawrence, that area there. So we'll keep an eye on that region for damaging winds. I do think we will see some damaging winds. Thank you, Legacy. I must have entered the wrong date. I fixed it before the live stream. Quote, fixed it before the live stream, but I guess I didn't. Wrong date. So that's your wind risk there. 5% chance for damaging winds every 25 miles of a given point. And the hail threat is your biggest issue. We've got a big risk for some isolated small to large hail. Normally when we see a 5%, we see about 1-inch hail or so, but we could still have some isolated spots of 1.5 or greater. So we'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, we did have an instance. This is a considerable severe as well for 1.75-inch hail. Sorry, I wasn't looking at chat, so the first one I saw was Legacies. That was the first one I saw, but Maury did point it out first. I just happened to look and I saw Legacy say something was wrong. So yeah, that's your risk for severe weather today. It is just a large level 1 threat, so not much to worry about. The area I'm most concerned about is probably right around the Kansas City metro area. Maybe just to y'all's north. Generally this area here, I think that's where we have the greatest severe weather threat today. We could see 60 to 70 mile an hour winds, near 1-inch hail, and I wouldn't fully rule out a tornado, but the tornado threat is definitely extremely low with today's risk. It is not something that we're really concerned about. It's not something that I'm concerned about, so I don't anticipate a tornado threat, but we can't fully throw a tornado threat in the trash can just yet. NATOcast didn't come in today, so we don't have NATOcast to show us if there's a smaller chance for tornadoes or not. I'm gonna quickly go check CSU severe, just see what all of these other ones have today's threat being. Wow, big 2% tour on CSU. I imagine that's definitely overdoing it for sure. Yeah, CSU is definitely overdoing the severe threat. It's not really even in the right spot either. It has the primary risk for severe weather being over here. I don't believe that's going to happen. If we look at our HRRR model run here, after this, pretty much right after the sun sets, your severe threat's going to decrease very quickly. So, well, not right after, I mean, 9:30 tonight Eastern time. That's when your threat's going to decrease right when these storms go past Kansas City, and then they die out very quickly. So, I think it will be just after these storms fire where your severe threat will be the greatest. So like I said, right around, if not slightly north of the Kansas City metro area for today's marginal risk. Let me go ahead and close this out here. And then as we go into tomorrow, I don't think there's just a big thunderstorm risk. Day 3, nothing at all. Hello? Do we actually have another day that doesn't have thunderstorms in the forecast? We do. Day 3 does not have any thunderstorms forecasted. So yeah, isolated severe storm today, in and north of Kansas City, and then an very isolated thunderstorm threat tomorrow. So not much in the wake of severe weather anytime soon. And I do want to go just to our longer range model runs to point out the pattern that we're gonna get into. Then we'll dive on into our tropical activity, because that's the main focus of today's live stream. But first, just want to get this out of the way. We're gonna switch on over here. Hopefully that works. Okay, it is. Okay, let me zoom that out a bit. There you go. Well, I'll zoom that in one more. So this is College of DuPage. Your 500 millibar chart. It feels so zoomed in. Hold on. Let's see, maybe we could do that. And then zoom it in one like that. I don't really know. But hey, you could see pretty much the whole continental US. That's what matters. Oh, that's what it is. That code. I guess I'm going to keep that code there. I'll need to fix that after the live stream because that's not supposed to be there. So, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on this upcoming pattern. We'll go over to the 12Z GFS here. So there could be a big trough that pulls through at the end of October that causes the risk for severe weather. I drew that terribly, very terribly, but here's your trough ejection. It's a very elongated trough, so I don't think we'll actually see much of a severe threat with it, but we'll monitor it just in case. But yeah, just keep an eye out. You know, if you are out here in and around Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, this general area, we could have a very small severe weather threat in y'all's area as we go towards like Halloween. But I personally don't think it will be an issue for severe weather. About 3-4 days ago, it looked really good for severe weather, but now that we've gotten closer, it looks a lot worse. But still going to keep an eye on it. Also, as we go into early November, we could get another trough ejection, and if this one does happen, it would be a better risk for severe weather. So we'll just watch it, keep an eye on it, and if it ends up becoming a severe threat, you know, we'll talk about it once that occurs. But for the time being, I'm not worried about severe weather. You know, I'm still going to monitor this area, like I said, for the end of October and the beginning of November for severe weather, but not very confident in a solid severe threat occurring. Now let's go back to our normal scene. Like I said, I'm going to have to fix that scene up. Because, see, this is... Oh, you know what? Wait, hold on. All I gotta do, let me go back to that, y'all. Oop, not that one. Yeah. Y'all gonna see me edit this. All I gotta do is shrink this. If it will let me. So we need to do that, and then yoink. There we go. Much better. Much better. Fix that scene for next time. But yeah, let's go over to the CPC Outlooks. So this is your Climate Prediction Center. This is what the thumbnail's based on for today's live stream. Not this Outlook, but I'll show you what the thumbnail's based on in just a second. But here's your 6 to 10 day outlook, and my goodness, geez, it's definitely going to get warm out there if you are pretty much anywhere in the central and all of the eastern side of the U.S. I mean, gracious day, they are extremely confident of well above average temperatures to begin November, and also above average precipitation in the Central Plains. And I don't really think this is going to come in the form of severe weather, but mainly just a lot of annoying rain. We could get a very small severe threat, but I don't think we're going to see much severe weather unless it's with that threat, you know, towards like November 3rd or so. So we'll just monitor the model runs, monitor the CPC and the SPC, and get to that severe threat. But hopefully it won't end up being much as we begin November. But I mean, gracious day, really hot, and definitely some above average precipitation chances there in the central U.S. For the 8 to 14 day temperature and precipitation outlook from November 1st to the 7th, that heat spreads slightly more off to the east towards the coastal areas in far eastern side of the U.S., and that precipitation goes a little bit more off to the southwest. But still generally the same pattern of, you know, above average precipitation, above average temperatures. There's your 3 to 4 week temperature outlook, which this is pretty old. You know, this is for November 2nd to the 15th, but I don't think this is going to verify. That heat might verify where we're above average temperatures in the northeast and the southern U.S., but the precipitation, we're probably going to end up with a lot more precipitation than what this is currently showing in the November 2nd to 15th time frame. And we'll just jump right over to your composites. You can see there's no risk at the moment. Go to your temperatures. According to them, not a hazardous temperature threat, so we shouldn't get into, like, you know, the hundreds or something, actual hazardous weather for temperatures. Precipitation, we still have that large precipitation outlook. They've pushed that time frame back a little bit from November. I think it was for October if I remember right, I think it was October 26th or October 27th where that risk began. They've pushed that all the way to November 1st to November 3rd there. Snowfall threat, obviously not an issue. And they do have a very large wind potential, just simply because of those troughs that could pull into the U.S. and cause some damaging winds. Not associated with thunderstorms. Most of the time when we see this, you'll end up with some wind gust, possibly around 20 miles per hour in that area. So not something to be concerned of, but basically when I see the risk of high winds, I just think, trough ejection. And same goes for that precipitation outlook. So definitely based on their outlooks, there's going to be at least the potential for severe weather. Whether or not it's organized or not, we'll just have to wait and see. That model by my face cam, I was checking that before the stream started. I meant to actually switch that over here, and true color. There we go. But yeah, this is what I based the thumbnail off of for today's live stream. We'll go here and we'll go over to your tropical weather formation. So that's what I based our live stream's thumbnail off of. I was going to potentially talk about and put in the thumbnail of the potential for this system to go towards the US, but I just feel like that's way too early to be talking about the United States, so I didn't decide to do that. Right now, the CPC thinks that a tropical storm could form in the Caribbean. Where it goes from there, nobody knows. But I do agree with this. I think we'll end up with a tropical system somewhere here in the West Central Caribbean. There's a few paths that models have it taking. The majority of our ensembles and model runs are taking it into like Cuba and then dissipating it over the Bahamas. But some models are starting to shift this slightly more to the west, towards like hitting the western side of Cuba and then potentially going towards Florida. But those tracks are very early. So at the moment, it's just going to be a watch and wait ordeal. But if you're anywhere in the Gulf states, I know you guys are sick of tropical weather and these hurricanes, but don't let your guard down just yet. We're getting towards the end of hurricane season, just a little over a month left. And I think this just might be the last tropical storm we have to deal with if it does form for the rest of our hurricane season this year. So if you are in like Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, keep an eye on this AOI just in case we end up seeing the potential for, or rather, if we see the potential for this to go towards the U.S. But like I said, too far out. I don't want to get too much into that. I've seen a lot of people post about a hurricane heading towards Florida. It's just literally one model run, so don't get worried about it at the moment. If you're in Florida, just watch and keep an eye on it. If you remember, 2 weeks ago, the GFS model was spinning up like a category 3 or 4 hurricane off the coastline of the Yucatan Peninsula, and then it tried to take it into Cuba and the Gulf of Mexico. We all know that never happened. So the GFS does this all the time. No need to panic about it. And I'll go ahead and show you that GFS model run. That way you can see what I'm talking about. Again, it's just a model run. That's all it is a model run. It's literally the GFS model, and you'll see it here that it takes our tropical system. It spins it up as we go into October 29th, October 30th, spins up a tropical storm. I think that's a very real possibility that we see a tropical storm spin up on the last few days of October into the beginning of November, somewhere in this area. Where it goes from there is a big uncertainty, but the GFS model run takes that right on into Florida. This is probably the model run you've seen circulate everywhere over the last 24 hours if you're really involved in the weather community. But there's one big key feature that I want to point out right here. You see that right there? That's your timestamp. That's how many hours out we are on the model run. It's not only right here, but it's also right in this area too. 306 hours out. That is extremely far out. The GFS model run gets very inaccurate beyond 240 hours out. So beyond this frame here, the GFS starts spitting out fantasy hurricanes and a bunch of random stuff that most likely will never happen. See you later, Caleb. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you in the next stream, which don't know when that will be. Don't know when that will be. It's either going to be Sunday night or Monday. So, yeah, as I was saying, please don't just rely off the GFS. The reason why I'm taking the time to tell you this for the last couple minutes is because I've seen countless amounts of posts, and even I've seen 2 posts on YouTube, 2 of them. Normally it's just 1, but I've actually seen 2 this time of somebody saying a hurricane is coming to Florida. It's, like I said, it's 300 hours out. So please don't listen to it. Whenever we're looking this far out in the GFS model run, it's always these random things. I mean, let me see if I could go back a lot here. See if I could show you something crazy. So this GFS model run wanted a hurricane to spin up in the Eastern Caribbean towards the end of the model run. If we go to our newest model, look at it. It's completely gone, right? It's not even there anymore. That's probably, keyword is probably what's going to happen with this this tropical system here, is the GFS is going to downtrend on it each model one, and then eventually we'll nail down, hey, is this going to be a tropical storm or just, you know, another AOI that doesn't form. So we'll keep an eye on it. That's your GFS model run. Here's your European model run, which you'll notice, you don't see them show this model run. They only look at the GFS, the hypers out there. Look at the GFS model run, call it quits. This is your European model run. It shows no development. Maybe towards the beginning of November, it gets a low pressure going, but relatively it shows no development on your newest European model run, 12Z. We got more models than just that. Here's your CMC model run. It kind of shows the same as the European model run, where a general low pressure forms, but no hurricane, nothing heading towards Florida, right? You don't see any hurricane at Florida. Icon model run, another pretty good model run. We'll go to the 12Z. Pretty much the same ordeal. It doesn't show an organized low pressure anywhere, but you can see just this disorganized area of rain showers as we go into the last day of October. But again, no hurricane at Florida, right? So it's literally just the GFS. It is just the GFS model run that is showing this going towards Florida. So it's also a deterministic run as well, which means it's just one singular run. So at the moment, I'm completely ignoring what the GFS is saying beyond 240 hours out, like you should do. But something I'm not ignoring as much is just the consistency here. If we go to your new 18Z, it has a tropical storm on the last day of October. And if we just follow this back through every single GFS run that we can look at, you'll see every last one has a tropical storm forming, generally in the central Caribbean. That one, look at that one, throws it in the Gulf of Mexico for some reason. But generally, for the last, 9 runs or so, it's had a tropical storm forming somewhere in the central Caribbean. So I do think there's a very real chance we see a tropical storm in or south of Jamaica. But as for where it will go from there, it's way too complicated. It's a very complicated scenario that's going to unfold. You'll see it here. If I pull your model run out, we have a high pressure that's going to try to form here. We'll have a general trough here. We'll have a ridging that tries to form back out here with a trough ejection that tries to pull in from the Pacific Northwest. You also have, of course, your high pressure back up in this area. So there's a lot of moving parts. The more moving parts you have in a model run, the more room for error we have. So with all these moving parts, it's just a lot of room for error. And it's just a disaster for forecasting if you have all those moving parts. So something that I love a lot more is your European and your GEFS ensembles. That's what I absolutely love. Ever since I discovered these, it's been a lifesaver for tracking tropical systems. So let's see what your ensembles have to say. This is basically a bunch of ensembles compiled on into one map to show you agreement between your ensembles. And I want to pull this out. Notice how, look at this. I want to show you this here. If you look at the top right, we're 180 hours out. So that's not fantasy land. Beyond 180 hours out, we do get a bit more inaccurate. And then after 240 hours out, that's when you're getting towards the, fantasy land range. But 180 hours out, October 31st here, or this is technically October 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern, but in Zulu time, it's actually a Friday. So yeah, Halloween night, Halloween night over here. You could see there's a large area of disturbance here according to your GFS ensembles. Let me quickly check something. I want to quickly check. Okay, yeah. So, just a very large area of ensemble agreement, and that's a pretty good batch. Let me zoom this in so we don't have to look so far down on our screen. That's a pretty good batch right there of ensembles. That's pretty confident that a tropical storm or a tropical system will attempt to form, like I said, in and south of Jamaica. And then I want you to take note of, as we go out in time, once we hit about that 200-hour mark, watch the spread between these ensembles. You'll see them start to go everywhere, starting on this frame here. You have some that take this towards Western Cuba. As we continue on, you'll see them spread off towards Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, out to sea. So they spread absolutely everywhere as you go out with time. That's because of uncertainty. So I'm pretty confident we'll see something try to spin up in this area as we close out October, but where it will go and how impactful it will be is extremely uncertain. I'll take you over to your European ensembles as well. To show you your European ensembles also pick up on that signal of a tropical system trying to form in the beginning of November. And this takes it a little bit more of a tighter spread into the Western Caribbean, but you still have some ensembles that want to take this towards, Cuba and then back out to sea. Some want to take it into the Yucatan Peninsula, and you have a few that also want to take it very close to the Gulf. So a big spread. Your room for error right now is pretty much the entire Gulf of Mexico and most of the Atlantic Basin. So there's a very large area of uncertainty on where our next system will go. And of course, the closer we get, the more that will decrease, right? We'll continue to progress on like we always do with time. The closer we get, the more uncertainties get worked out. Eventually, this may become an invest. Then we get, our hurricane model runs in it. The NHC tags it as an AOI. So the more we progress with time, the more we'll know. Right now, we're still pretty far out here. So that's really why I didn't include, on the thumbnail, I didn't put the red or the purple into the Gulf of Mexico at all, because it's very much a question mark. This thing could simply not even form and just be a tropical disturbance here, a tropical wave, I should say, and then end up hitting the Yucatan Peninsula as not much more than just rain. So we're going to keep an eye on it, as we always do. If you are out there in the southern side of the U.S., the Gulf of Mexico coastlines here, just keep an eye on it. You want to be watching it. And, hurricane season's almost done. It is almost done. So we won't have to watch the tropics for a whole lot longer here. Hopefully we don't end up with anything in mid and late November. I haven't looked that far out because, well, frankly, like I said, Fantasyland's 240 hours out, so 700 some hours out. I can't imagine how inaccurate your models would be. But yeah, let's go ahead and take this forward here. This is your new 18Z GFS, and you can already tell it's quite different. Your 12Z GFS has it turning just north of Jamaica. Your 18Z has it turning up towards the Bahamas. So, like I said, they're deterministic model runs. That's what they're going to do. They're going to keep changing like that. You'll see it fluctuate a lot. But the main point here, the main thing that I want you to take away from the stream is there is a chance for a tropical storm to develop somewhere out here in the Central Caribbean as we close out October and begin in November. Where it goes, only time will tell, and we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. It's just going to be another waiting game. That's how it is with weather as a whole. The NHC has not tagged this yet because it's just a little bit too far out. I do think we'll end up seeing a 10% chance of tropical development or so over the next, 3 or 4 days. I think they'll highlight an area of interest somewhere down here. But I don't expect them to do it within the next 2 days. I think it will be, what's today? Thursday? Yeah. So Sunday or Monday, I think they'll tag an area of interest down here. But at the moment, they don't have an area of interest. And long story short, that's because of your time frame. And of course, it's the 24th, so 7 days from now would be the 31st. That's just too far out to tag an AOI for just yet. But as we get closer, they should tag it, assuming these trends continue. That's another thing. I'm assuming these trends will continue where all of our model runs keep wanting, a potential tropical storm to form. If all these model runs downtrend over the next 3 days, the NHC will simply just not tag it. So we'll keep an eye on our model runs, keep an eye on our National Hurricane Center, watch this tropical wave closely. But like I said, we have a lot of moving parts. We have like two high pressures, 3 different low pressures. We have a trough ejection. We have a ridge over the central U.S. So there's a lot of moving parts, and we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I do want to go back over here really quick. We got some little storms forming north of Kansas City. I think that's about all the model data I wanted to show you guys, but just remember that the GFS is very far out right now. Oh, my bad. That's the 850 millibars. The GFS showing this is really far out in terms of potential impacts to land. Anything above 180 hours out, you get inaccurate. 240 hours out, you get extremely inaccurate. And really, after 240 hours out, you get into fantasy land. I mean, the chances of this happening is next to none. I don't see a world where that would happen. If that actually happens, where we see a hurricane track like this, I mean, can you imagine? I just don't see a way how that's going to happen right there. Yeah, PM, it has been pretty good at picking them up early, but intensity, it has been quite horrific with intensity. Either it's downplayed intensity a lot, or it's not picked up on the intensity enough. But I will say, 180 hours out, the GFS has been pretty good at picking up these systems. But beyond that, like I said, once you go towards, once you get inaccurate on this model run and into fantasy land, it gets a lot worse. Well, I'm hoping Florida doesn't get another storm. Literally, all it takes is for this high pressure to be, over North Carolina, and boom, this thing's going to go right out to sea. So something as little of a change in the model run is just the high pressure moving from here to here. That would completely, that would put a wall over this portion of the U.S., and it would just steer this out like this. So it just takes little tiny changes here. Is this like a Fujiwara effect? I swear, this is like a Fujiwara effect. I feel like there's another low pressure in here that the GFS is detecting or something. Well, it depends on where the high pressure would be and when it would be PM. Because if your high pressure is late, like say your high pressure doesn't build in the eastern side of the U.S. until like November 2nd, then it's not going to start having an effect on this until, November 1st or so. But if our high pressure just doesn't move, like if this high pressure that builds in 3-4 days just straight up doesn't move, then yes, it would go into Central America like Nadine did. Or maybe not Central America, maybe like the Yucatan Peninsula. Somewhere in here, if we had that high pressure build in, which is what we had for Nadine. We had that very strong high pressure that was over the U.S., and it was steering just like this. And our tropical wave, it just went something generally like this, hugged the northeastern side of Central America, and then hit in the southern side of the Yucatan Peninsula. Now it's gone into the Eastern Pacific, and it's actually become a Category 5. Different name, though. What's the next name? Oh, shoot. Oh, I forgot. I can look it up really quick because I know a YouTuber. Let's see. Patty, I think. I think it's Patty. I know a YouTuber who said that Patty's already formed, and so that's who I looked up to see what it was. Because that was quicker than looking up the name list, since I had YouTube right there. Yep, Patty. So, yeah, this is your 18Z GFS. Note, again, we're above 180 hours out. Anytime, the further you go out, the worse model runs get. So, looking 2 days out, your model runs are going to be pretty good. 3 days out, they're still good. 4 days out, you're getting a little inaccurate. 5 days out, they're starting to be pretty inaccurate. And then at that 7-day mark, worse. 10-day mark, horrific. Beyond 10 days, fantasy land. The further you go out, the worse they get. I mean, even think, models like the HRRR, literally goes out 18 hours. It's been wrong. It's been wrong a lot. So, yeah, I mean, just look at the different scenario right there. It's still generally the same turning. And now I'm curious to see if this trough ejection, you could see it. It's off your screen actually by a bit. I'm curious to see if your 18Z GFS is going to take it into the US again. Because now the path of this one, your 18Z GFS, has it going like this. And that trough comes in, and that trough might just pull it right back up like that. The 12Z did something a little similar to that. You can see the 12Z went up, and then it did that turn, and then it turned right back. So your 12Z went just like this. Again, I want to make this clear again. This is just one model run. No other model shows this. The GFS has shown that, Florida could have a tropical system for the last 4 or 5 runs here. But no other model run is on board whatsoever. Like if we look at your European model run, 240 hours out, there's no hurricane over Cuba with your European model run. It's same for your European AI model run. There's nothing. Your CMC model run, nothing. I don't know if your Icon goes out that far. Icon model run goes 180 hours out, but it's just the GFS. It's just the GFS, which is why I'm not concerned about this system at the moment. Like I said, I do think we could see a tropical storm spin up in this area. The main reason why I say that is because, like I said, based my thumbnail off of this, the CPC highlighted the risk for a tropical storm to develop. And they've been actually really, really good. The CPC has been fantastic at predicting these tropical storms this year. And there's their outlook. You see they have about a 40 or so % chance of a tropical storm developing near Jamaica, pointing to the southwest here. Notice how their other area here, the 20-ish % chance, it doesn't go into the Gulf of Mexico. It doesn't go like this, right? Their 20% chance doesn't go into the Gulf of Mexico. It still stays in between your Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on their outlooks too, see if this increases. Right now they have about a 20% chance of development for November 6th to the 12th. I don't really know anything about that. I haven't looked at it that time frame at all. We always want to take it one system at a time. Like I said, the further you go out, the more inaccurate it gets. But the CPC, they've been doing this for years, and model runs are slowly getting better, and you can recognize the general pattern we're in. We're pretty close to hyperactive. It's still going to take one big storm for us to actually officially get to hyperactivity. This is already, what, the fourth most costly hurricane season on record. Helene was obviously a big role in that, as well as Milton was a massive role in that. And yeah, I mean, if we get one more big storm, it's going to officially be hyperactive. We're right around like 19 and a half ace from an official hyperactive season. Let's see what ace we are at right now. Oh, yeah, actually, we're 15 ace away from hyperactivity. So in order for a hurricane season to be considered hyperactive, it has to be 160 ace. We're at 145. So we're going to need one more big storm in order for us to get to that hyperactivity. But I mean, gracious day. September 25th all the way to October 10th. That's got to be the most active late September into early October we've ever seen. What's Ace Pez says? If it was anybody else in the chat, I would have said it, but it's Pez. Like, come on. Yeah, it's also, this season's been ridiculous for fatalities, unfortunately. It's been horrific. We definitely had that that high-end hurricane season we were forecasting. I mean, man. If you told me back on September 5th, September 5th, when we were through most of October with, through August with most activity being very minimal. I mean, we had, what, one decent storm in August, and we were very inactive for mid-July, which isn't too unusual. And then, like I said, the beginning of September. So if you told me on like September 5th or so that we'd have this much activity in October, I definitely would not have believed you. Milton was absolutely insane. And Helene, too, of course. Helene was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Helene formed a month ago from today. Said that right, yeah. I think Helene formed a month ago from today. Like September 24th is when it formed. Man. Milton just did a ridiculous amount of ace there. And there was one system. Which one was it? Let's see. Oh, yeah, we had Kirk out there, too. Kirk generated almost as much ace as Milton did. And then we had Leslie out there as well. Still, Beryl has generated the most ace of the season for a singular hurricane. Literally, our second storm of the season has generated the most ace so far. But yeah, like I said, just keep an eye on this if you do live out there in the Gulf states. It's definitely not something to worry about at the moment, but it doesn't hurt to just watch it. The model runs are still far out, so there's going to be a lot that changes. But if you're anywhere along the Gulf states or the southeastern side of the U.S., if you've ever been hit by a hurricane before, just watch that AOI. It doesn't hurt. My personal opinion on it is I have no idea what the heck is going to happen. Like, I think we could see a tropical storm spin up somewhere in here, like the CPC says, at the beginning of November. But after that, in terms of where it will go, I have zero clue. I don't even have a guess for you. I mean, look at the GFS. Look at that. GFS just goes like this. Like, what? Oh, it actually does a little bit of a sharper turn than that. Model's just we're just a little too far out. We gotta wait. We gotta wait. And since there's no severe weather apart from today, that's why I'm just I'm just gonna take another little break. I won't have anything tomorrow, and I won't probably have anything Saturday either. The next live stream, and you know what? I gotta check something really quick. Jeez. Give me just a moment. Yeah, I think I could probably stream at like 7 o'clock Sunday night. 6, 7 o'clock, between 6 and 7 o'clock Eastern Sunday. Well, we'll plan for a live stream. I'm going to take the breaks while I can before our second tornado season and winter season really ramps up. There's, what is this thing's name again? Christy. Currently a Category 5 major hurricane out here in the Eastern Pacific. Go ahead and loop that. It's very, very strong. Current sustained winds are at 160 miles per hour. Waiting for it to load. It takes a little bit longer because I'm doing the mesosector, so it gets 1 minute satellite imagery there. Or actually, it's about every 3 minute satellite imagery. But just an absolute beast of a Category 5 right now. And thank goodness that is not going to touch any land whatsoever. It is staying very far out to sea. And it will die out here too. Like I said, very late tomorrow night into Saturday morning is when it will start to die. I will definitely admit, PM, I definitely overdid my my hurricane season forecast 100%, but it's still up there for sure. I just went a little bit like too crazy with the numbers. I'm not going to lie, though. I did think we'd have more tropical storms that formed very quick and dissipated quickly. Like, just more, more fish storms. I don't feel like we've had a lot of fish storms this season. Let's see. I want to see how many we've had. I'm not going to be able to get like a good... Oh, there we go. Okay, well, not yet, actually. So, we'll see. We'll see what this upcoming system does. Hopefully, it just ends up falling apart and does, like, nothing at all. We've had 1 or 2 of those so far this season. I wish I could figure out... I know we've had at least 2 fish storms. But a lot of them have been impactful, man. A lot of our hurricanes this season have been extremely impactful. Yep, not this either. I've never been able to, I've actually never bothered to look, I should say, for a site that shows you all the storms that we've had so far. So, I have no idea how many fish storms we've had. Oh, there we go. I found it. We've had 1, 2, 3. 3. Oh, 4. We had Isaac, too. Yep, so we had 4 fish storms. I forgot about Isaac. I've counted 4 p.m. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. 4. I only see 4. I see 4 at the moment. We had the category. We of course had our category 4 out there. I forgot what Kirk, of course. And then we had the one behind Kirk, and then we had Isaac, and then I remember we had one more tropical system that formed for just a couple days west of Cape Verde. And then, of course, we had Isaac. Joyce. Yeah, Joyce is what it was. That was the one behind Kirk, I believe. Or was that Leslie? Man, we've had too many storms. I can't keep up with them all. Leslie was behind Kirk. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Where's the full path of Joyce? So yeah, we had I see 5 now PM. You know what it is? It's the fact that Joyce formed like right over other tracks too. We had 3 storms that formed in generally like the same spot, just completely different times. Let me quickly do this. Just think the alphabet. Man. Not the alphabet. I don't know my alphabet. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Do I really look like Lucky to you? I mean, come on. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's greatly appreciated. We'll be back here Sunday. Hit that like button to help spread more weather awareness. Share the stream with family, friends, social media. It's always appreciated. We're probably about to wrap things up here. Yeah, my last video was 3 days ago, so hopefully I can make a video on this system. I'd love to make a video on this system like Monday or Tuesday. We'll see how it goes, but I'd love to make a video early next week. I like making videos. But like I said, there has to be really a lot to talk about in order for me to make a whole video on it. But yeah, I'll leave you guys looping on this satellite imagery here. This, I swear, I could literally just watch satellite imagery like this all day. It's just so satisfying to me, especially storms that are affecting absolutely nobody. That's what I love the most. Really cool storms affecting absolutely nobody. Poor fishes, though. Okay, you guys can still see above my face cam. I'm gonna quickly go check, just real quick, see if this severe threat is actually gonna be an issue. It doesn't look like it's gonna be a big severe threat tonight, but we should have a line of general strong thunderstorms that form and make their way through Kansas City tonight at like 10 o'clock. And then just after that, they'll die out. So I'll still monitor. I'm probably going to end up monitoring it. And, you know, if it overperforms significantly, maybe I'll end up coming back here for a coverage live stream. But I don't plan on it. But I will keep an eye on it just in case. So that's going to be about it. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and close out this again. That's your National Hurricane Center outlook. I do think they will end up, like I said earlier, highlighting a chance for formation eventually in like the next 3 to 4, or rather 4 to 5 days out in that general vicinity. Long story short, if you may just be tuning in, we're watching this area for a tropical storm to develop at the end of October into the beginning of November. Its track is extremely uncertain, of course, because it hasn't even formed yet. Some models are taking it towards western Cuba. Others are taking it towards the Bahamas. Others are just keeping it in the Central Caribbean and dissipating it. Some models aren't even forming it. But generally, we're going to watch that area towards the end of October, beginning of November for a tropical storm to develop. Only severe weather today. You can see it above my face cam. It's really going to be focused in northeastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, southeastern Nebraska, southwestern Iowa. And we'll be back here Sunday between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern for another live weather briefing here on the channel. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I sure did, PM. I indeed did see that. Thank you, mods, from on chat. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and just hanging out here for an hour. I know this live stream definitely was not long, but these briefings, they're briefings for a reason. If there's something to cover, we'll stay live for a couple hours, but in this case, there's nothing to cover, so we're going to go ahead and head out. I'll see you guys Sunday for a live stream between 6, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll see if I can get a video out Monday or Tuesday. Fingers crossed I can. If that tropical system looks interesting, I'll try my absolute best. So, yeah, that's going to be it. I still have to talk for another 40 seconds before I can do my outro music. And there's really not much more I have to say. There's not a whole lot happening, thankfully, out there. Of course, we have Category 5 hurricane out here in the Eastern Pacific. That's Christy, if I remember right. Which I do. It's Christy, thankfully affecting nobody. So we'll just keep an eye on that region in the Caribbean towards the end of October, beginning of November. See what happens. But definitely no reason to worry. Just keep an eye on it. And I will see you guys in Sunday's live stream between 6, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Again, thank you, mods, for mod and chat. Stay safe. Watch severe weather in the tropics. And I'll see you guys in my next stream. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch the weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys in my next live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.